Okay, so let's talk about Black women and unrelenting love. I even just love the thought of it. The just saying unrelenting love out loud just ooh, ooh. Haley, where are you at with the concept of unrelenting love in Black women?
It's so necessary. It's so necessary for us to experience that because when I think about a love that is unrelenting, it doesn't give up and it doesn't weaken even in the midst of hardships. I think there's a vast difference between unrelenting love because it's being reciprocated and you know you and this person is in this thing together, then you operating in an unrelented love in comparison to you just accepting a love that's just been given to you. You know, you have to determine, is it unrelenting love or is this just a love that you have just become comfortable with? But as far as unrelenting love, my hope and prayer is that every Black woman gets an opportunity to experience that, to understand how powerful love is. Sometimes that word just get thrown around because it seems
Yes.
to be convenient to say in the moment. Um, but for me, when you really love somebody with that type of love, you're not easily shaken. Even if they're not in a place where you want them to be, because I'm automatically thinking about Aaron, who we just, so graciously and lovingly talked about. Um, but I must say for me, he's the only person I think on this show, as far as the men, that I have seen that be exhibited through
Mm.
to his Black woman.
I wish that more men, everyone, but then specifically men, were taught an array of feelings in the love arena because, to your point, everything isn't love. And I'm brought to how readily Zach says, I love you, whether it was to Karen at the time that he was in that era or Fatima now. And I'm very much so convinced that Zach does not know what love is. I think that Zach appreciates Fatima and appreciated Karen. I think that Zach finds himself sexually attracted to Fatima and found himself sexually attracted to Karen. I think that Zach needs Fatima. I think that Zach needed Karen. But when I think about when Zach says, I love you, I am not fully convinced, right? And like we could go down the line. Like I would say the same thing about Andy when she says that she loves Gary. Girl, you are hopeful of Gary. You are desiring of Gary. You are dependent on Gary. You are sexually satisfied by Gary, but I don't know that you actually love him. I could probably say the same thing about um, how she views Jordan. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, when I hear Aaron say, I love you, Karen, that's exactly what it is. It is not the inability to articulate something else, it is love. And it's powerful and it's unrelenting and it is something that I wish more Black women would experience in real life because we are deserving of it, but then also because we are so socialized and normalized to give of that, but then not as conditioned to receive it, which is a very perplexing concept to me.
It is. And I think it gets demonstrated in the content that we watch. You know, it's like when you see a character like Aaron, people want to call him soft. You know, people want to call him, oh, ain't no man gonna go through that. Ain't no man gonna. And it's like, no, the man that you're dealing with is
Mm,
not gonna go through that. The man that you choose will not exhibit characteristics such as Aaron. And it goes to show the type, it almost puts a mirror up to the person to find out what type of men are you actually welcoming into your life. Are you just welcoming someone who just finds you attractive? Are you welcoming the person in your life because he knows how to lay good pipe, or because, he's the first person to say something nice to you after a breakup? What's the reason that you are allowing certain people into your space like that? And because you haven't received it or haven't encountered it doesn't mean that it's not real.
right.
You just haven't, experienced it yet. And my hope is that, that you do. That you do get an opportunity to experience that, and to know that watching someone like Zach is not a character that you should hope your man to be.
Mm.
That's just me. Some people, that's what is cool with them. But my hope would be you will want more than that. You will want someone who is not so quick to operate off impulses. That is, he's quite sure, don't have no problem making you a single mama.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That has that will do something to put the person who they claim they love so much in a position to handle all the life struggles that they are about to endure by themselves says enough for me.
Mm.
Enough.
Mm. Why do you think we as Black women are not as comfortable with receiving or expectant of unrelenting love?
Honestly, I'm gonna use me. I think sometimes it's because you don't see it growing up.
Mm.
You don't see it in your household. Sadly, many of us come from broken families, broken households, and we don't get an opportunity to see our father love on our mother genuinely. A lot of times you hear, well, your mama did this, or your mom will only do X, Y, and Z, and you hear from your mom, well, if your dad would do X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have no problem with. So you're automatically conditioned to the drama. You're
Mm-hmm.
automatically conditioned to a dynamic where it's broken, where she's mad at him, he's mad at her, and you kind of find yourself in the middle, and you don't know if you're supposed to pick a side. If you do pick a side, whose side you supposed to pick, you feel bad because maybe you agree with your dad, but you live with your mom. So as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is but more specifically, we're talking about Black women. But as a young girl, you're in a tug of war already because you don't know how you're supposed to feel. And then you meet somebody, so along your journey, you may, your first love, it may be all good and cute. And then when you step into adulthood and you meet someone who loves different, speaks to you differently. This is new because I've never had this. Can I trust this dude? What he want from me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like then you start going through the 101 questions, and you kind of trick yourself out of receiving that because you don't believe it's real because you haven't experienced it. So I think we're just sadly from the get go, we're just automatically conditioned not to receive it because we've never received it,
Yeah.
and it's
And to add on to that, and I think something that definitely like played out with the Karen character in this series is that aside from not seeing it so you don't believe it's real, I think there's a certain level of normalization of like you working for your worth. And I don't necessarily know if Black women, Black girls have it instilled upon them young enough or early enough their inherent value. So we tend to move throughout life as we, progress and as we get older, constantly competing for up against societal expectations, competing in academia, competing in sports, competing in whatever arena we find ourselves, and trying to be the best so that we can prove ourselves worthy of love, prove ourselves worthy of being deemed worthy. And that ultimately, within romantic relationships, finds its way and ultimately creates, like, I think the most amount of dissonance for us as people. But similar to like it will play out, like I definitely, I feel, spend a lot of my life buying into the meritocracy. So I excel because I wanted to be deemed worthy because I'm smart and because I've gone to this college and because I've done this and because I've gotten this. Um, and it is not until I got to my 30s where I started to unpack that and then really think about my inherent value that comes regardless of what letters are behind my name and all of that other stuff. And I say that this played out when it comes to Karen because while she has only experienced toxic relationships and then her most recent one was probably the one to take the cake, so yeah, there's a thing of like not seeing it, not experiencing it, so not believing it could be real. I think that there was also a certain level of like wearing on a self-esteem that was already not strong enough to be met with someone so well adjusted and just so ready to deal with whatever came that there was a certain level of like talking herself out of it because I haven't done anything to earn him yet. So why am I getting him? And if y'all don't know, we talk about
Yeah.
Karen and the Karen story line because that to me is one of the most powerful representations of a storyline showing unrelenting love and for a black woman to be receiving it. And while I enjoyed watching it play out and watching it continue to play out, I at least enjoy watching the audiences respond to it. But it's a good representation of that for the receiving end for black women.
It's a great example. And I think, what I would hope, and it could be, it's wishful thinking, but just for people to watch the show for what it is, whether you like a character or not, watch it for what it is and what the show is actually displaying. Because even though, like, I feel like, excuse me, Fatima and Zach are a well loved dynamic, a well loved couple. When you really watch what these writers are writing about these characters, it is not good.
Mm,
Like to me, they are not painting them to be the oh yeah, you should strive for this. It's almost like they are the warning story. Like hey, if you don't do this, this is what could possibly happen. But because you have two people who people may deem as aesthetically beautiful or
mm,
gorgeous, what the show is trying to tell you. Or I look at Karen and Aaron, and there was one episode where Karen flat out said, "I don't deserve you," but he was asleep, and he was like, "What did you say?" She was like, "Oh, nothing." So there were times we would hear her insecurity slip out when she was around him. I feel like I don't deserve you because I'm all messed up. Because I feel like I'm an effed up person and I don't have it all together. And I feel like, and Karen's struggle was, what if I never be the woman that I feel you deserve? What if I
mm,
don't can't measure up? So even though I think a lot of her hangups had to do with Zach and her journey of healing through him, but I also believe that Karen believed at one point that she really could not be the woman that she believed Aaron deserved. And I think
mm.
sometimes we deal with that too, especially if you really have a great man in your life.
Right.
It's kind of like, mm, I don't know if I can do it, Chief. I don't
And
know if
that,
I'm there,
even
boss.
that though, is so interesting to me because when we're having a conversation, right? Like Aaron gets criticized for unrelentingly loving Karen, but Fatima gets praised for unrelentingly loving Zach. And we get to watch Karen actually question, is she capable of being all that this person actually deserves? But we don't actually watch Zach fully, really, like in a non-shallow way, question if he is enough for Fatima and like push himself to explore that.
Hmm.
Why is that?
I'm gonna tell you what did it for me, Erica. And this goes back to the people who ask us, did we forget? Um, the episode of Fatima, when he basically told Fatima that her likes and her desires
Mm.
and the things that bring her happiness are bullshit iggity. You just need me to put you up against a wall and blow your back out. And you need a thug. And the fact that people thought that was romantic. The fact that people thought that what you like is so beneath me. You don't need that. You just need me to make you, reach your peak every now and then. That's all you need. And the fact that it worked, you know what I'm saying? Is like, wait a minute. What?
If we didn't know we was cooked before, that is the moment where we knew we were cooked as it pertains to that
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
So what
y'all,
for doesn't matter. No, we don't matter. Nope, we don't matter.
and it's so unfair though. When you really think about the amount of criticism and disrespect that the Karen character gets, while she also struggles through all of this character development, all this story, and Zach is put in the exact same circumstances but happens to be a male and doesn't have to suffer nearly as much, doesn't have to question himself, doesn't have to do anything, and is just constantly given. Meanwhile, Karen gets blessed with a good partner and she's constantly questioning if she actually deserves it. That needs to be the conversation, y'all. The conversation needs to be less of like how you hate Karen so much and why in the hell is Zach not growing? Why in the hell does Zach not question X, Y, and Z? Why in the hell is Fatima so willing to give up her life for this man? But like, let's talk about it because I want to be as thorough as possible. If I'm gonna criticize y'all for doing it, I'm gonna make sure I cover my bases because y'all love to try to call people hypocrites. Why is it okay for Aaron to give unrelenting love to Karen, but we don't see it as okay for Fatima to give unrelenting love to Zach? You want to go first? Or you want me to take it?
I'm gonna let you take it because people gonna be pissed off at me. So I'm gonna let you go first, and
It's
then
okay for me specifically because there's a certain level of reciprocity that needs to come, even if you are not at the same level of somebody. Your intentions matter. Your efforts matter. Your mindset actually matter. So Aaron can meet Karen here and she is here. He's here and she is here, but she hopes to close the gap. Hell, she even sees the gap. Let's start there. She sees the gap, addresses the gap, acknowledges the gap. We're already off to a good start. So while this person is pouring from their excess and their abundance into this person, hoping to help them get to this place, this person has to also be making choices and decisions that's going to be them trying to propel themselves up. It is not just this person pulling at the person, but this person is using whatever they can to push themselves up. And what would you say that would be for Karen? Oh, that's a deciding not to drink. Oh, that's a deciding to dress more modestly. Oh, that's a decision to stop cursing. Oh, it's a decision to try abstinence. Oh, it's the decision to actually try to throw yourself into this thing with this new man because you want it. You think that you could deserve it. You don't know if you're fully capable, but by golly, Miss Molly, I'm going to actually try to do a thing. So yes, that person can receive everything that somebody has to give them because they are an open vessel that is actually going to store that and build upon it so that you're going somewhere. It becomes a problem with Zachary Taylor because one, Fatima ain't even pouring from abundance because within the currency of this relationship, she's not even able to be her full self. So she's pouring from a half of a goddamn cup to begin with. Already a red flag number one. Then she's pouring into a vessel that got holes in it. The vessel got holes in it. So every single thing that she pours into Zach leaks out. The nigga's not holding on to any goddamn thing. He's not moving forward. And then if I go back to my first foundational thing, he don't even see the gap. Zach don't even see that there's a gap to address it, to articulate it, to even be able to start to put things in place where he's going to work to lessen it. So no, it ain't hypocritical to say yes, Aaron, with that unrelenting love, and no, Fatima, with that unrelenting love, because the partners matter. And I'm saying that Black women deserve unrelenting love because more often than not, Black women have been taught to operate from that particular place of unrelenting and unconditional love and don't actually get met with it. It's when an unconditionally loving, unrelentingly loving Black man meets a Black woman who is perfectly capable of not only giving said thing, but receiving. Now we are cooking with gas. But Black women, stop pouring into these niggas that got all these holes within the bottom of their goddamn cup. Especially stop pouring when your ass is half full.
Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? Something that you said I think is so important is that Fatima is pouring into a vessel that has holes in it. And what she's pouring into is not even an overflow for herself. So I know I get a lot of the backlash because people think, oh, you don't like Fatima. It doesn't matter if I like her or not. That's irrelevant. What matters is, for me, Fatima is the stereotype. Fatima is the example or what we see when we see a woman going above and beyond the call of duty for a man who, as you stated, doesn't see the gap but refuse to rise to the occasion. So because of that, you have this woman who has to play mother, lawyer. There's so many hats that Fatima has to play when it comes to her dynamic with Zachary Taylor that I was trying to figure out, I'm like, is it unfair? But then I thought, well, this is what you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
You're continuing to choose this, even though you know that Zach is not holding anything that you've been willing to give him. And yet you go around telling people, it's like she's trying to convince herself. Angela, but he's such a good man. Is he though?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Reed, Zach is such a good man. Baby, who you trying to convince?
Mm.
Because it sounds like you're trying to convince yourself or make a rhyme or reason why you are choosing to stay in this unfulfilling relationship. So for me, when I look at people can say what they want to, I feel like Karen is in a better position with Aaron than Fatima is with Zach, and that's her damn fiance. And that says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That says a whole
A
lot. Because we
lot.
have what she needed to go through, she's able now to meet Aaron where he is. She's able now to truly love him the way that she feels he deserves to be loved. She can meet him because she's going through her particular journey of healing. Zach and Fatima, to me, they feel like they just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything for me with them, even out to the engagement, I'm like, this wasn't even warranted. And to me, it felt undeserving.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, Fatima is like their relationship to me is about her trying to prove a point.
Mm.
Trying to prove points. How the hell you bring an ex to dinner? You on a date with your man to prove to him that when you done, you done. Why isn't your word good enough?
Ooh.
Because at this point, I don't believe a damn thing Fatima say. Your word holds no weight with Zach. At least with Karen, she kicked his ass out every now and then. They go boom. But other than that,
What point do you think she's trying to prove?
it was like, no, Fatima, I'll leave Zach. How many times has she threatened to leave? Baby girl, do you still have your condo? I'm starting to believe you
Ooh.
don't.
Ooh.
Cause what you ain't never left. And the threats are idle. It just like Fatima words don't mean jack to me. I don't believe in nothing she say. Other
So
than
so
Zach, I'll
what's
never leave you.
what's
That's the
the
only thing that's ringing true.
what's the thing that she's trying to prove that's keeping her in the relationship?
Hold on. Say that again.
What's the thing that she's trying to prove that's keeping her in the relationship?
Hold on, Erica. My sound went out.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
It's okay.
You asked me. You asked me what now?
What is it that she's trying to prove? Because you said you think that she's in this relationship because she has something to prove. What is that?
I think Fatima has many points to prove. I don't. I think one of her points is to prove Karen wrong.
Mm.
When Karen told her to have fun in the struggle. Oh, sweetie, it's not a struggle. Oh, sweetie, it is. So we have to prove to her that she's not right. It's not a struggle. I'm okay. I got this.
Mm.
I think that also Fatima has to prove to Zach how necessary she is to him. Because I feel like Fatima has been trying to teach Zach lessons from the very beginning. I think about the episode when she went to dinner with the girls and she told Zach, well, if I don't teach you, how you gonna learn? And he told me something, yeah, I know, but a man or a child. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I know, but and so I don't really know how Fatima, and this is the thing that gets me too. They haven't really had in-depth conversations like Karen and Aaron. So a lot of times I don't even know what Fatima saw in Zach in the beginning that even caused the curiosity
Yeah.
for her to even begin something with him. away apart from the sexual aspect of their dynamic. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know all the points she's trying to prove, but to me, it just, oh, I want to teach him a lesson. I want Zach to be better. You've been trying to teach Zach lessons from the beginning. Nothing is changing. That's why I was saying earlier, it's insane to me. It's insanity
Yeah.
because you want to teach him lessons. You've been trying to teach him lessons. Zach has not changed, but yet you believe he's going to change.
I
No.
wonder how much of it is also what she's trying to prove to herself in the department of like self worth. Because while I don't think I had these
Hmm.
words to be able to articulate it at the time, when I was in one of my most toxic relationships, there was an ego thing there of like, I'm different. I'm different than every other girl he's had. I'm different than like I'm gonna be the one that makes him change or make like proves that he was always great. He just needed the right condition. I don't know. Like to me, Fatima gives that. She gives if she's trying to prove something, it is proving her worth by getting this thing to yield to her will, and this thing, I mean Zach, and be the great shining diamond that she feels like it always could have been, but everybody else was just never good enough to get it to reach its full potential.
Hmm. Hmm. That makes all the sense. I remember doing a video about that, and I was like, "Can we just be real for a moment?" Fatima, that is what Fatima thinks. Like I said, I'm not. I'm surprised that people believe that Fatima don't have those thoughts. I'm better than Karen. I probably F better than Karen. Probably suck your penis
Mm-hmm.
better than Karen. I'm probably the best thing you've ever had. I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna show you, or I'm gonna show her that all you needed was me. Even going back to conversations that Fatima had with Andy. But Andy, I just want to be there because he's never had a woman like me. He's never had a woman to do the things that I've done. And Andy made a face like, okay. And she was like, wait a minute. You've heard these things before? Of course she's heard these things before. You know what I'm saying? You're not different. And the fact that Fatima still thinks she is, and there's no diss,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we've all experienced that as women. Like, I'm better than that
Yeah.
chick. She didn't have his back, girl. She wanted him to be,
Yeah.
down and out forever, but not with me. No, he just making you think that.
Yeah.
Nah, no. But yo,
Exactly.
team want to be that girl. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Well, this brings up or brings me to a question that you asked, and I'm like, I guess we're gonna have to unpack it on Our Sister's Keeper. And I think I've seen it once
Mhm.
in my comment section, but we are on Zatima. We have watched Zach go to jail for potentially killing his brother, only to find out that his brother's not dead, so he should not be being questioned for murder.
Mhm.
And Fatima finds this out and then does not move Earth and the stars and sun in the sky to get him out immediately, but feels like he needs to suffer and lets him sit there. You had a question of if he's going to keep that same energy that he had for Karen after Karen got him arrested for the whole credit card issue because jail was a
Mhm.
no go for him. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think that that's something very interesting. Did
Mhm.
I say that correctly? Is that the question?
That was the question.
Is that going to keep the same
That was
energy,
the
y'all? And
question.
should he keep the same energy? Let us know in the chat. But Allie, how are you feeling as it pertains to that right now?
I want to know because Zach was very adamant. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Karen, you had me put in jail. That's when I knew I could never be with you again. Okay. Were you in jail now? Fatima has information that could have possibly got you out a little earlier, what have you. So now that you know this, does that mean you can't be with her ever again? Because see, I never bought that bull crap when he said it to Karen
Mm-hmm.
on Sisters. I stood on the fact that you have dogged this woman out to Fatima. You've made everybody believe that she's the problem. You can't go back. Because if she's such the problem, if she was doing so much, why would you want to go back to that? You got to save face. So you got to stay
Mm-hmm.
with Fatima. That's how I personally felt the entire time. I never bought the fact that that's what it was. I mean, it sounded good in the moment, but I just never believed it. So now, does the same rules apply to Fatima? I wonder. I mean, no, we know it's not going to apply. So what's the difference? Zach? What's the difference, Zach? That's what I want to know. Because I remember the people who drug Karen for filth
Mm-hmm.
when that situation happened. Drug her like she was nothing. But now the thing with Fatima was, oh, I get it. She should have did that. Oh, really? So why my good sis got drugged through the mud, drugged through hell when she decided, oh, this is the process I got to go through because this who y'all telling me who did this. Okay, I'm following the law.
Mm.
I'm doing what I got to do. Now, morally, maybe people have an issue with it, but it was lawful what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not morally, but lawfully, it was just. Fatima left you in there. Even though you didn't, excuse me, kill Jeremiah, you brutally assaulted him,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't kill him. But what's going to happen, Zach?
What's gonna happen? Honestly, I mean, I feel like people are gonna say, well, the difference is she actually put him in jail, and Fatima didn't actually put him in jail. But that is just it's here or there because she left him in jail, or she's the reason why he had to go. Because quiet as kept, Karen didn't technically put him in jail. She called her bank and the police as she should and told them something happened, and then they followed the damn law. The same way that Fatima said, "What? He didn't do it, so he'll get out eventually."
Mm-hmm.
Once they figure it out, I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was so. When you brought it up, I didn't think about it, but I thought it was such a good thing to like dive into because it just reiterates how foolish Zach is. The narratives that he
Mm-hmm.
runs with is solely built on the circumstances that he's in and the context and like what he feels like he needs as an out. Because quiet is kept. If you were so pissed about people putting you in jail, you would also stop robbing people because you ain't mad at yourself. You got to start questioning yourself about putting your damn self in jail. The more times than your damn women have, you still end up there. There's
Okay.
so many people in my Zatima videos are just like, it doesn't matter that he needs to learn a lesson. She knows that jail is hard for men, and why would she subject him to that? Why would he subject himself? That quite literally was a dialogue from not only Fatima, but also from Mr. Tyrone before he put his hands on Jeremiah. He made that choice. He knew that jail was a consequence of that. And now everybody else is
Mm-hmm.
responsible for him being in jail and getting him out of jail when he's the sole responsibility for his ass being there. Zach is
Mm-hmm.
full of shit. He didn't stop loving Karen the moment that she told the authorities about that damn credit card. Yes, his ego was
Right.
bruised or wounded because he didn't want her to believe that he would actually steal, but that was more tied to what he wanted her to perceive him to be versus what he actually was, and not that he
Mm-hmm.
just magically fell out of love with her because of that. That was solely built on
Come
like,
on.
I know she has seen me cheat on her. I know she's taking care of me financially, but I need her to never see me as a thief. That's what that was about. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
how he's going to be able
Even
to
though
stay
you
with
went to
Fatima
prison for
perfectly
armed
fine.
robbery.
Huh?
I said, even though he went to prison for armed
Hello.
robbery, nigga, you a thief. You're a
Hello.
thief.
But I'm not a thief to her. That's the T.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
how you're gonna be perfectly fine. Like you're gonna kick up some dust, but you're gonna be perfectly fine with Fatima leaving you in jail because it was never about you going to jail. It's about you managing the perception that other people have of you instead of you actually being a man that is these characteristics or being this thing. You much rather cosplay as all of these things. And once the damn mask is shown, now you got beef with everybody
Mm-hmm.
that's not maintaining the mask or believing the mask. Zachary,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Y'all's faves is toxic. Karen deserves unrelenting ass love, as do many of you black women who are currently listening. So we are calling it in for you in 2025 if you ain't already got it yet. Ow.
Yes.
And with that said, we moving on.
Yes.
Singleness, y'all. Singleness for everybody in the back. Singleness does not equal suffering. Let's stop. In our Lord Savior year 2025, stop associating people being single with them suffering, people being single with them being miserable, people being single with them being less than in life. Because more often than not, especially in today's day and age, and I will be of the persons of this camp, like one of the people in this group, people are being single by choice. People are choosing peace over pain. People are choosing grounding and self-worth over stupid ass external validation and maybe the hopes of some type of coupledom. And at the end of the day, when you're able to move out of your singleness era, hopefully you're moving into a healthy partnered era in which you're still able to stand as a sole individual. The way that this series does a ridiculous job of devaluing the individuals that these women are until they are in a relationship. And then once they are even in a relationship, they do not go out of their way to show these women inherent value. It pisses me off. And it is constantly reiterating the stupid ass idea that if you are single, you are suffering. If you are single, you are less than. If you are single, you do not deserve. And it's like, that is stupid. Most of these women who are pursuing relationships in this goddamn show are running from singledom like it's the goddamn plague. Girl, you are not going to die if you are alone at this particular stage in your life. The same way that whoever's listening right now who might be struggling with the concept of singledom, you are not going to die just because you are not partnered up at this particular stage in your life.
Please, yes. I just, the fact that they have to always be connected to someone. It's okay to date. It's okay to go out on dates every now and then. I don't have to be attached to somebody. I don't have to be in a committed relationship. I don't have to do that. But it's like you said, when they're single, it's an issue. Then you connect them with someone, and it's like you should have left them single. They got to go through all this. Leave them single. And I think, further perpetuating, that being single means that something is wrong with you. Or when you get a certain age, or you ain't got no kids. Oh, is that a statement or a question? You asking me, or you telling me? You know what I'm saying? Or so you don't want to get married? What makes you think I don't want to get married? What makes you think I do? Like there are certain conversations you can have without making it sound like an insult
Mm-hmm.
to start the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like with these women, honestly, I don't have an issue if they were in a relationship. But if they were gonna be in relationships, show different dynamics of a relationship. They all got to be going through drama. They all have to be experiencing hardships.
They
They
all
all
have
got
to
to
be
be going through
settling.
and being. It's crazy.
Every last one of them are
It's
settling within
wild.
their relationship for various reasons with various contexts, but all of them are damn settling. And the
Hmm.
one who wasn't settling is the one who don't get to be with the man.
Okay.
What the hell? And if you being obtuse, Karen and Aaron should be together, but they're not because their relationship will 100% not be them settling for one another. But we get a whole show
Hmm.
with Zach and Fatima where Fatima's settling for Zach. We get a whole 7 seasons of Andy with Gary because she's settling with Gary. And now she's settling with Jordan's ass. We get
Mm.
Daniela, who's now settling for Tony because at least he's not the white man who told me that I need to get my shit together. We get a whole damn season and now push with Sabrina settling for the juice man because at least he don't like wearing pretty panties. Like what? Coley.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's wild. The settling and the
It is
singledom is
wild, wild
wild.
work.
Like, Lord forbid any of these women go through a single season where they can actually discover who the hell they are. Like Sabrina will be harmed by that particular point in time.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the only person on this show that I have ever heard say, I need to be single, I need to focus on myself, has been Karen. She's the only person, even though she told it to the same man, at least she has told Aaron, I need to focus on myself, I need to be single. When she told him she was pregnant, that was her words to him, I need to focus on myself, I need to be single. The last time we saw Aaron, when he was gone for about 13 weeks, when she told him, I need to focus on myself and this baby. We didn't see Aaron for a month of Sundays
Yep.
until she had to reveal that he was the father of one of the twins. But she's the only person, even though they really don't do a good job of showing her singleness and the intentionality in her singleness. For me, I'm going to conclude that there has been growth, and I've seen it with the character while
Mm-hmm.
being single. But she's the only person who's ever verbalized it and didn't look at it as, like you said, it wasn't the plague. It was something that was powerful. It was something for her to fall in love with the fact of becoming a mother and understanding that, as she stated, this is the greatest love I've ever known. We'll never be alone. when she was talking to Sabrina. But
Mm-hmm.
just having her come to that place has been beautiful. She went pining after Zach. She went pining after Aaron. She actually went on a date, a little lunch date, I guess you call it, with Trey. But it was nothing to it, even though we
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it. But it was like it was nothing to it, nothing serious. She's just enjoying her life, enjoying the journey of becoming a mother. And I want to see that. We may not ever see it for the rest of the women.
Yeah.
Like they look plain. To see Sabrina in a relationship, if we could even call it that, is wild. Is wild, and it's so undeserving. Rich, why you love this man? I don't get it. I
Why do
don't
you
get
think
it.
the show portrays
Tony,
relationships versus singledom in the way it does?
I really want to know, Erica. I really want to know because one thing I will. Mm, this gonna sound real horrible, but I don't care. I don't think the writers have enough within them to create a show that doesn't rely on it.
Mm.
Because when I think about girlfriends, even though there were moments where these women were in relationships, it wasn't depending upon that. The foundation was their friendship. We saw them at work, doing work, having conflict issues at work. Yes, having conflict issues in their relationship and even in their sisterhood. But it was like the show wasn't depending on the relational aspect between them and their men, even
Mm.
though the men would, show up or whatever. But I don't know why this show is so heavily dependent on that, other than they just don't know what else to do.
Mm.
I don't want to think about the writers like that, but I don't know what else to go off of.
Right. Right. Y'all, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Why do you think that the relationships are presented in a way and singledom is presented in another way? We can't wait to check the comments.
Yes,
If anything, I think that this show is a good representation of how things show up in society and societal pressures as it pertains to relationships, and how sometimes society views relationships as having inherent value just with you being with somebody, regardless of if that person gets you and sees you and supports you and truly loves you. The fact that you're actually with somebody is already like a thing. So for not for nothing, is authentic in that regard. I just don't know if we should want to aspire to that, especially if we are in a position as a media entity to be able to move minds and shape culture. Why are we doing that? But I just want to reiterate in the whole singleness is not equal suffering conversation that there's so much power in your single season, and it's specifically tied to your journey with self discovery. How deeply can you meet yourself? Have you met yourself? Do you know yourself? And I think that those are three questions that need to be answered before anybody can enter into any relationship and believe that they will be able to do so healthily.
I agree with that. I think my season of singleness, I learned so much about myself. I learned that I do like to be by myself a lot. And I know that even being even being in a relationship, I would say, hey, it's been, you've been here 2 days. When you go home? You don't miss your place? Like you don't miss because one, I'm not living with a man. Like I'm not sharing a space like that unless I'm married to them. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't mind. You can stay over. I stay over, but that can only be a few days. You got to go home, or I got to go home. I like my space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, also, just what I like, what I don't like, discovering new things that I like that I didn't know that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And even I love reading, and then I love talking to a man who is intelligent, who has a thought about something. But just even like spirituality and music and things like that. But discovering who I am, discovering certain patterns that I don't like about myself, certain traits that I believe are unwelcoming. What am I going to do to change those things? And and even grading myself, giving myself grace, for certain things that I may be struggling with at the time. But I've just learned so much about who I am, what I want to do, how I plan to get there. And sometimes being in a relationship can be a distraction, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes not a very good distraction because it can get you off course if you're not already set a course.
Yeah.
Because that person come in, oh, we going on dates. You going out every night. It used to be, you work twice on a Saturday. 2 Saturdays out the month is for work. 2 Saturdays out the month is for play. Now you got a man. 4 Saturdays out the month is for play. What happened? you know what happened? So
Yeah.
those things are important. How you gonna conduct your schedule when someone else comes in. So I think singleness is vitally important. You don't have to end something and immediately jump at something else, because people who do that, I just feel like you're running away from you and you don't like
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But singleness is not, it's not a plague. It's not a punishment. It's not a consequence.
At
It
all.
is a blessing. It is a blessing.
And it
It
should be a
really is.
choice. You need to realize it's a very
Yes.
valid choice.
Mhm. Mhm. It is.
One that I'm going to continue to opt in because I'll be damned if I'm going to choose a toxic relationship over being single any day. I will be by my damn self.
Mhm.
Yes, I will, and enjoy
For
every minute
real.
of it. All right, y'all. That has been our episode of Our Sister's Keeper. Whether we are talking about how Aaron is actually him, or you could break up with him and be the baby mama. That's perfectly fine. We explored quite
Mhm.
a lot in
Mhm.
tonight's episode. I hope that you all enjoyed it because I definitely enjoyed the conversation
Yes.
as I do every
I
single
did
week.
too.
Any parting words, Allie, for all of the things that we discussed, and anything you want to drive home? Make sure people are left with.
I just want to drive the point home that before we bash Karen, before we bash Aaron, before we big up Fatima and big up Zach, that we just be willing to consider what it means and what it looks like to be loved in a healthy way.
Mm,
And my prayer and my hope is that you get a chance, an opportunity to experience that, not only to receive it, but to reciprocate it. Because when you can watch someone shift and change because of the genuine love that you give them, that does something for you as well. So that's
mm-hmm.
my hope. Like, just be willing to consider before you try to get nasty and what somebody don't deserve. Just be willing to consider. And there was somebody who commented, I can't remember, it was a video of mine. And she talked about how she just got out of a toxic relationship and she realized that she deserved better.
Mm,
And I don't know this young lady, but I commented and I said, I am so grateful to hear that you got out of a toxic relationship and you got to the place of receiving or accepting the fact that you deserve better, because you
mm.
do. And those really are my parting words. I'm glad and I hope that you get to the place of believing that you deserve better, because you do.
Because you do. Because you
Yes.
do. With that said, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We will see you next week on another episode of Our Sister's Keeper, or in the comment section of our videos discussing the episodes of Tyler Perry's Sistas. Be on the lookout for the breakdowns and the
Yeah.
previews and further subject talk as we drop those videos on our channels. If you're not following, follow at Allie Nick Official, and you can subscribe if you are just now tuning in right here on Erica V TV. See y'all in the next one.
Good night, y'all.